Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's show. I'm your host, Zach Drew. I can genuinely tell you that I am very excited about everything that's happening here at the show. So much is going to change. I really believe it over this next 6 months, year to 2 years. Some amazing things are happening with our fundraiser. I'm going to be giving you an update later on in the show. And I want to thank everybody for all of the comments and letters that came in from these last 2 shows that we did, kind of laying out the vision, the change of direction of this show, this ministry, and what we feel and see the Lord doing behind the scenes. It's very exciting. But I want to talk today first about a topic that is DARPA. They have given us, many people don't know this. People like maybe don't even know it's a military contractor. They develop most of our core technology that we use on planet Earth. They've given us the internet. They've given us GPS, stealth technology, drones, the computer mouse, Siri, self-driving cars, even the foundation for mRNA vaccines. And kind of what I'm setting the stage with today is I'm kind of making a case that these weren't just random, gifts to humanity. They were stepping stones towards something far more sophisticated, far more powerful, and obviously far more dangerous. Like I said, I'm talking about DARPA. It's the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. It isn't a technology company trying to make your life more convenient. It's the U.S. military's high-tech brain trust, building systems not for profit, but for power. The kind of power that can map the human mind quite literally and predict your next move before you can even think about it. And they're using it right now. We are on the edge of a new frontier, a battlefield where bombs and bullets are replaced with data and persuasion, where algorithms don't just read your thoughts, they shape them. A place where wars can be fought and even won without most people ever realizing there's a war at all. It sounds science fiction. And tonight we're going to pull back the curtain on a program so advanced, it makes science fiction look tame. A program that can model entire nations, profile leaders, anticipate reactions, and very subtly steer human decision-making at a scale and speed that we have never seen before. If you think DARPA's inventions changed your world before, just wait until you see what's coming next. We'll be right back. Before we dive into more of today's topic, I do want to give an update. Like I introed the show saying that God is doing some amazing things. We feel the Lord is moving. And the entire show, I feel like we're getting ready to go to the next level. We're in the midst of the largest fundraiser to date. If you've watched the last couple of shows, we are trying to raise a total of $120,000 for these new ventures, this new growth that we are anticipating over the next 2 years' time. We're going to be doing multiple shows a week, powerful short clips throughout the week. We're going to be expanding our team, bringing Andrew Bellers on full time. We're going to be doing a lot of SEO work, a lot of print and readable material throughout the month. I'm just really excited. I'm really excited. You heard my testimony. You heard how I felt like the Lord was kind of hovering these last 3 years or so. And I'm just so excited. I'm so energized at truly seeing the Lord's hand move so mightily. So I want to give you an update. So far, we have raised $15,050, including a partner who also pledged to increase her monthly gift by $50. So we are at $15,050. We just announced the $120,000 fundraiser, so I'm super encouraged. And we have More awesome news. So just so you know, that means we need to raise an additional $105,000 to make this vision a reality. Exciting announcement. We have an awesome match. Thanks to our friend Mark Eskander and Stan Foster, their combined match is $25,000. So right now, anybody that gives to this campaign, to this fundraiser, to raise $120,000 to do multiple shows every week, your dollar will be doubled. Whether you give $1 and it's then $2, or you give $10,000 and it's $20,000. So please get involved. Every dollar given will be matched up to the first $25,000. Every dollar given will be doubled. I want to get back to the program. If you want to stand with us, please do so by going to www.zachdrewshow.com. The lower third with the website is at the bottom of the screen right now. And you simply just click that bright orange donate button, or you can write us at Zach Drew Show, P.O. Box 797, Decatur, Illinois, 62525. And I would ask that in the memo section, you would write that this is for the fundraiser. Stand with us. And man, I'm just so excited. I'm so excited at what God is doing. Get involved. All right, let us get back into it. We're talking about DARPA today. And there's an incredible article that I want to discuss with you. But as you know, in every show, I've got to lay a little bit of foundation. And I want to talk about just how sophisticated AI is and is becoming. So I want to set the stage by talking about, Tristan Harris and Aza Raskin. So they're the co-founders of the Center for Humane Technology. Some of you in this world that you love AI and what's happening, you might know the Emmy-winning Netflix documentary that they created called The Social Dilemma. They've also advised heads of state, global policymakers, members of Congress, in this world, obviously national security leaders. Basically what I'm trying to say is that these men are not to be taken lightly. So a couple of years ago, they gave a presentation called The AI Dilemma. And they said a couple of things that have always stuck with me. And since then, I've heard a lot of other similar examples. They spoke about how 50% of AI researchers believe that there is a 10% or greater chance that humans go extinct from our ability to control AI. Think about that. That would be like if you were to get on a plane and 50 of the engineers who made the plane say, well, if you get on this plane, there's a 10% chance that everyone goes down. Would you get on that plane? Well, we are rapidly onboarding people onto this plane right now. Here is a quick clip of Tristan Harris and Aza Raskin giving their presentation, The AI Dilemma.
So I think what we're trying to show here is that when AI learns, we use transformers, it treats everything as language you can move between and to. This becomes the total decoding and synthesizing of reality. Our friend Yuval Harari, when we were talking to him about this, called it this way. He said, what nukes are to the physical world, AI is to the virtual and symbolic world. And what he meant by that was that everything human beings do runs on top of language, right? Our laws are language. The idea of a nation state, the fact that we can have nation states, is based on our ability to speak language. Religions are language. Friendships and relationships are based off of language. So what happens when you have, for the very first time, non-humans being able to create persuasive narrative? That ends up being like a zero-day vulnerability for the operating system of humanity. And what he said was, the last time we had non-humans creating persuasive narrative and myth was the advent of religion.
What they said there, what nukes are to the physical worlds, AI is the virtual and symbolic world. Language is the operating system of humanity. Everything we do, and it makes sense, right? You talk about how laws, relationships, and religion. Obviously, they're coming from a secular point of view. But not necessarily with this, I'm just saying, like, you always got to filter what we're saying, that most of these guys do not believe in God, or they do not believe in the God that we believe in. But they say that everything is based on language, right? And then they said for the very first time, non-humans are able to create persuasive narrative. Persuasive narrative. What is the result? This ends up being a 0-day vulnerability for the operating system of humanity. Go ahead and put the definition on the screen of 0-day vulnerability. I think that's pretty interesting. So a 0-day vulnerability is a security flaw in software or hardware that is unknown to the vendor or developer. This means there is no patch available to fix the vulnerability, making systems vulnerable to attacks for a period of time after discovery. Attackers can exploit this window of opportunity, known as a 0-day attack, to gain unauthorized access, steal data, or cause other damage. And according to Yuval Harari, the last time we had non-humans creating persuasive narrative and myth was the advent of religion. And whenever I hear guys like Harris, like Raskin, even Harari talk about AI rewriting the operating system of humanity, I can't help but think, like you, this isn't new. This is the same old story that the Bible's been warning about for thousands of years. I mean, go back to Genesis 11, the Tower of Babel, one language, one narrative, one agenda, and God said, nothing they plan will be impossible for them. That's what happens when humanity is united in the wrong spirit. And that's why whenever we talk about, a collective consciousness, that they're building a hive mind, being a connected humanity in that way, it's been done before. And what was the end result? And so so today that tower, I've said before in different programs, that tower today is not brick and mortar. It's algorithms, it's code, it's machine learning, all working to speak one language into the minds of billions of people. And Jesus told us in Matthew 24, whenever he talks about the end of time, that the deception in the last days would be so strong, it could almost deceive the elect. That's wild. And Revelation 13 shows us exactly where this is headed. A world system that doesn't just control what you buy or sell, but what you think, what you believe, and ultimately who you worship. But here's the thing. I need to say this too. It's not like God is pacing heaven's floor wondering what to do about DARPA. Isaiah says that the nations are like a drop in the bucket to him. The question isn't whether God's in control, it's whether we're anchored to him when the ground shifts under our feet. Because the war for your mind has already started. And the only way to spot the counterfeit is to know the truth. It's to know the truth. So, DARPA is developing a project called Theory of Mind. Their project is called Theory of Mind. They're not the ones that even, coined that phrase. But Theory of Mind, whenever we're talking about, artificial intelligence, many people have said by the year 2030, it'll be equal to that of an adult human being, have the mind of a human. Being able to think, reason, create, just process. Like the neural pathways of a human will be similar to AI. And they say that is around 2030. It's called the theory of mind. And then people like Ray Kurzweil, one of the key developers in Google, and other people believe that the age of singularity will be around 2045. And now as we get, and he started saying that in 20, That would have been about 15 years ago. And now they're starting to reassess that number, that it's sooner. Because, and understand this, I should have said this, the age of singularity is whenever artificial intelligence far surpasses that of a human mind, a super intelligence, a godlike intelligence, an intelligence that the masses will worship one day. And so in 2018, whenever we're talking about, large language models, artificial intelligence, its capability of learn to think and reason like that of a human being, we can use systems like, like OpenAI's ChatGPT or now Grok, or there's a couple other systems like that. So in 2018, the leader, and still the leader today, that we know about, because we don't know what the military actually has, ChatGPT. In 2018, ChatGPT had 0 theory of mind. A year later, in 2019, barely any theory of mind, essentially the mind of an infant. But still, that's a remarkable feat. And then 1 year later, in 2020, the strategy level of a 4-year-old. In January of 2020, the mind of a 7-year-old. By November of in January of 2022, the mind of a 7-year-old. By November of 2022, the same year, 10 and a half months later, the mind of a 9-year-old. Now, that's where it stops. Like, I mean, I'm saying like it didn't stop there, but like the information, the research has just apparently frozen since 2022. So we don't know where it's at right now. And so I guess the question is, what happens when they get a little older? That, my friends, is why there are thousands of technology leaders and researchers who have urged artificial intelligence labs to pause developments of like the most advanced systems. Here's an article from this week. AI is getting smarter every day with thought processes already eerily similar to humans. Their powers go beyond AI impersonation. Artificial intelligence doesn't just look and act human, it supposedly thinks like us as well. Chinese researchers found the first ever evidence that AI models like ChatGPT process information similarly to the human mind, detailing the dystopian seeming discovery in the journal Nature Machine Intelligence. Quote from, this is from the Chinese Academy of Sciences and the South China University of Technology. This provides compelling evidence that the object representations in LLMs, large language models, although not identical to human ones, share fundamental similarities that reflect key aspects of human conceptual knowledge. After comparing this cyberkinetic objects sorting to human analysis of the same objects, they found striking similarities between the models' perception and human cognition, particularly when it came to language grouping. From this, researchers deduced that our physiological doppelgangers develop human-like conceptual representation of objects. Quote, further analysis showed strong alignment between model embeddings and neural activity patterns. This is crazy. Saying like the model embeddings that this AI is displaying are in strong alignment to how our neural activity patterns process and register. It's unbelievable. Here's a quick clip of the emerging capability.
This is one of the really surprising things talking to the experts, because they will say, these models have capabilities we do not understand how they show up, when they show up, or why they show up. Again, not something that you would say of like the old class of AI. So here's an example. These are two different models, GPT and then a different model by Google. And there's no difference in the models. They just increase in parameter size. That is, they just get bigger. And what you see here, and I'll move into some other examples that might be a little easier to understand, is that you ask these AIs to do arithmetic, and they can't do them, they can't do them, and they can't do them, and at some point, boom, they just gain the ability to do arithmetic. No one can actually predict when that'll happen. Here's another example, which is you train these models on all of the internet, so it's seen many different languages, but then you only train them to answer questions in English. So it's learned how to answer questions in English, but you increase the model size, and at some point, boom, it starts being able to do question and answers in Persian. No one knows why. I'll give just one more version of this. This was only discovered, I believe, last week now. that golems are silently teaching themselves, have silently taught themselves research-grade chemistry. So if you go and play with ChatGPT right now, it turns out it is better at doing research chemistry than many of the AIs that were specifically trained for doing research chemistry. So if you want to know how to go to Home Depot and from that create nerve gas, turns out we just shipped that ability to over 100 million people.
And we didn't know. It was also something that was just in the model, but people found out later, after it was shipped, that it had research-grade chemistry knowledge.
And as we've talked to a number of AI researchers, what they tell us is that there is no way to know. We do not have the technology to know what else is in these models.
All right, so forgive me, but coming back from this clip, I have around 7 minutes of actual talk time because I have one more clip I want to play, so I'm going to start going through this kind of quickly. So DARPA's theory of mind, okay? So DARPA, and we're going to talk about, I'm going to go through an article, and listen, also, if you're watching on social media, the link to the full article that we're going to be discussing is in the description. So go and read it. It is fascinating. So DARPA, the vast amount of technology we enjoy today, like I said earlier, has been created by our military and those that our military contracts. So DARPA is one of those agencies, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. It is a government agency focused on funding and developing research for the military. They are not business-oriented, but often contract with businesses that will take DARPA's research and develop consumer projects. So what did DARPA give us? They gave us the internet. ARPANET became the foundation of the modern internet. They gave us GPS, global positioning technology used worldwide for navigation. That was DARPA. They gave us stealth technology. They revolutionized modern warfare in aircraft design. Drones, both military UAVs and civilian drone tech, trace back to DARPA's work. The computer mouse, which is part of DARPA's early human-computer interface research, okay? Voice assistants, they gave us Siri. Self-driving vehicles, the DARPA Grand Challenge jump-started autonomous car development. Robotics, Boston Dynamics style advanced robots and exoskeletons. Yes, goes back to DARPA. This is one of the big ones. I've talked about it 1,000 times on the show. Brain-computer interfaces, BCIs. I'm talking about direct neural control of machines. Think about Neuralink and Kernel and all these other ones that are developing this technology. Traces all back to DARPA. The mRNA vaccine platform, early pandemic response research that paved the way for COVID-19 vaccines developed by DARPA. And they were able to use, and oh my gosh, the psychological warfare that DARPA developed, that they used during the COVID-19 pandemic is unbelievable. Let's jump into it quickly. DARPA's theory of mind warfare. The Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA, has an initiative called Theory of Mind program. This effort is designed to give national security decision makers the ability to model, simulate, and ultimately anticipate the intentions and behaviors of adversaries using a combination of advanced algorithms and human expertise. So they're trying to say, they use it for war, right? Because they have to develop it for the military, because that's where they get their money, through military, through government contracts, right? DARPA's Theory of Mind program fundamentally changes how conflicts are managed. Decision makers can run gaming scenarios at unprecedented detail and speed, customizing incentives or deterrents tailored to both cultural and individual psychologies. Basically, they're able to run through millions and millions of scenarios that you have the leaders, the movers and shakers that are in this field, that this is their lane, that would never be able to put their brains together and figure out every scenario and its outcome. They're able to do this in a moment's time, all right? Theory of mind warfare turned on the American public in 2020. Mentioned that just briefly before. The same tools originally designed for military use were later deployed against the American public in 2020. AI-powered behavioral analytics inspired by military-grade theory of mind models were strategically employed during the COVID-19 pandemic to not just inform, but actively shape public perception, sentiment, and compliance, creating a continuous feedback loop between government actions and public psychology. These systems quietly move the world's response from reactive to adaptive, fundamentally influencing how populations experienced and responded to the pandemic. How these systems, and this is the part that You need to read about it in the description. Go and click this. How these systems shaped public minds. 1, real-time sentiment analysis and information targeting. 2, tailored messaging and adaptive communication. I'm going to read that one just really quick. Insights from the platforms allowed authorities to refine government communication strategies, push approved narratives to counter misinformation, adjust messaging in real time to allay public fears, address misconceptions, or reinforce confidence in health measures such as lockdowns or vaccines. They're able to take all of this raw data and in real time filter it, process it, and say, if this is our goal, this is how we do it. All the information of millions and millions and millions and millions of people, the data that we just freely give all day long. Behavioral nudges and targeted interventions. That's an interesting, read about it. Go find this article. Feedback loops for policy calibration. Data-driven misinformation management. COVID was just the beginning. The theory of mind at work in recent theaters of war is astounding. The pager attack and decapitation of Hezbollah's leadership. Remember that event, right? Israel is using theory of mind. It's not through DARPA's program. And they were able to figure out exactly what to do, not with human brains, but with an artificial intelligence brain. They did the same thing with Israel's Operation Red Wedding and Operation Narnia, the 2025 strikes on Iran, Operation Spiderweb, Ukraine's drone assault on Russia's bomber fleet. This is what modern warfare looks like. The United States and its allies have clearly adopted the new theory of mind model of warfare, not merely as a technological leap, but as a strategic necessity. No kinetic action could have moved the American public the way the COVID psychological operations did. And in the conflict with Russia, traditional methods of waging war could easily result in total nuclear war. In other cases, our conventional systems alone don't provide us with the technological supremacy they once did. The U.S. is seeking supremacy elsewhere. Algorithmic adversary modeling, predictive analytics, and adaptive scenario simulation to anticipate, shape, and if necessary, outmaneuver opponents in political and military gray zones, as well as open conflict. Looks good on paper, but for those of us that know the Word of God, this doesn't look too bright for the future. Let me tell you right now that if you want to know exactly where the global elites want this technology to take humanity, because I'm telling you right now, this is a tyrant's dream. Once again, Yuval Harari has spelt it out for us. Watch this clip as he tells you plainly where they want to take this at an annual World Economic Forum meeting in Davos.
This danger can be stated in the form of a simple equation, which I think might be the defining equation of life in the 21st century. B times C times D equals R, which means biological knowledge multiplied by computing power multiplied by data equals the ability to hack humans, R. If you know enough biology and you have enough computing power and data, you can hack my body and my brain and my life, and you can understand me better than I understand myself. You can know my personality type, my political views, my sexual preferences, my mental weaknesses, my deepest fears and hopes. You know more about me than I know about myself. And you can do that not just to me, but to everyone. A system that understands us better than we understand ourselves can predict our feelings and decisions, can manipulate our feelings and decisions, and can ultimately make decisions for us. Now, in the past, many tyrants and governments wanted to do it, but nobody understood biology well enough, and nobody had enough computing power and data to hack millions of people. Neither the Gestapo nor the KGB could do it. But soon, at least some corporations and governments will be able to systematically hack all the people. We humans should get used to the idea that we are no longer mysterious souls. We are now hackable animals.
The technology that they are building is a tyrant stream, and it will one day be used by a beast system. I'm out of time. I'll end with this. Just don't forget that Jesus told us in Matthew 16 to discern the signs of the times. This is why this particular show deals with these particular topics, because Jesus said for us to be able to discern the signs of the times. And we are watching those signs unfold faster than ever before. The rise of AI, global control systems, the manipulation of human thought are warning us that the hour is late. But the most important question right now isn't about technology or politics. It is important, but it pales in comparison to your soul. And so I just want to end the show with this. Can you ask yourself, are you right with Jesus? Is there anything in your heart that you feel like, you know what? I understand. I'm listening to Zach talk. The hour is late. There are certain things that are just blocking me right now and my relationship with Jesus. It's so incredibly important as we draw closer to this time, to these perilous times, that we are so connected to the Father. Have you surrendered your life completely to Him? Because when the world begins to shake, if your foundation has not been established on the firm foundation of Jesus Christ, the house you built will come crumbling down. All of this that we see will pass away, but never forget that eternity is forever. And if you've never truly given your life to Christ, do it today. Repent of your sins, call on His name, and make sure that your salvation is secure, because nothing is more important, nothing, than knowing you will spend eternity in heaven with Jesus. I am totally out of time for today's program. I'll see you all next week.